Hi everyone, my name is Steph Richards. I'm an experimental trumpet player and jazz player, and I'm here to talk to you about extended techniques and how to incorporate them into our practice as improvisers in a way that's meaningful and musical and genuine. Working on ways to expand our sonic possibilities on the horn can really help carve out a unique and individual voice in your career, and it can also really expand the creative capacities for expression. So I really recommend giving yourself the space to explore new ways of playing your trumpet. The first thing we want to do is to acquire the techniques to begin with, right? And how do you do this? I recommend finding the sonic images that you find most intriguing and most beautiful. I don't recommend opening up books about extended techniques that are going to teach you or tell you how to play extended techniques, because they're not based on a sonic image. It's really sort of the reverse, where someone tells you to do something so that you will get the result. We want to have the result in mind first before we start trying to figure out how to get the sound. And to give some ideas of where to find interesting sources for extended techniques, of course there's recordings of other trumpet players doing amazing things. I also recommend listening to other instruments playing their own sets of extended techniques, because that can give you a lot of different ideas to work with. I love playing with drummers. I've gotten a lot of interesting ideas from working with them, working with cymbals in particular. But checking out recordings, also listening to electronic music. You don't have to, plug your horn in to be inspired by all the timbres and possibilities. So playing with electronic music can help you to discover some really new, interesting sounds on the horn. Found sounds, sounds in nature, industrial sounds. I mean, the list goes on. If you're, for example, you want to really discover multiphonics in a musical way, I recommend listening to some Tibetan throat singing and playing along to those recordings. And then you'll find that you have some really beautiful musical sonic images to work with. The next step is to take these techniques and bring it into your fundamental playing. This is a step that a lot of trumpet players forget to do. And so what ends up happening is we have our kind of normal mode of playing, and then suddenly we're going to, make all these funky things happen to our face so that we can play the really interesting extended techniques. Instead of having to switch between that, we want this to be one musical way of expressing ourselves, whether we're playing with a full, beautiful, big tone, or we're going to, be digging into a really big, loud split tone. So to do that, incorporate this into your fundamentals. A really great example I like to use is playing your split tones on a Clark 2 study. This can give you a really lyrical and gritty approach, but we already have foundations of a habit foundation of playing with ease on a Clark study number 2. So when we introduce that new technique, we have a foundation of good technique to work with on top of it. Multiphonics, you can start slow. Chikowitz studies are beautiful studies that we can work with, singing one pitch while we play other pitches. So those are just 2 examples, but it's really up to you to discover new ways you can bring these techniques into your own foundational practice sessions. I'll say one quick note here too. A lot of the books that we play out of tend to be, they've been written a while ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. You pull out an Arbenz book, it's covering a lot of bases, but music has moved forward a lot since the time it was written. And so it's up to you to find ways to bring out the best in these pedagogies, but also by modernizing them with the techniques that are needed for a lot of the music of today. The last thing I'm going to offer for you is to give yourself time and space, which we probably all feel like we have too much of right now. But now is exactly the time to carve out space in your practice session for exploratory, no strings attached, playful time where you're literally just discovering on the horn. No one's listening, there's no goal in mind, it's simply just playing. When we all picked up our horns at the very beginning, that's all that we did. That's how we discovered our instrument. I encourage you to take that time, give yourself that space in your sessions, even now. In fact, especially now, because in doing that, you'll start to discover your own ways of connecting with the horn. You'll be starting to carve out your own unique voice on your instrument. And that's really what we need to do to be able to push this whole thing forward. So I wish you nothing but the best.